28 years later completely catfished me. This was like meeting someone online. You're talking quite a bit and her pictures look great, and then when you actually meet in person, she looks and behaves completely differently. The trailer for 28 Years Later really got me hooked and excited for this film. I love the manic and suspenseful tone the trailer set.
Men go mad with watching him. There's no discharge in the war.
So much so that I watched 28 Days Later for the first time a few days ago. And coming into this installment, my expectations were pretty high to be entertained and shocked by what I was hoping to be a thrilling and gripping zombie thriller. The first act started off great. The serious, ominous, and dire tone was set early on. We basically open with a father and son team going on a mission. It's like a rite of passage for the son in this post-apocalyptic community. They are a group of survivors quarantined from the rest of the world, and it's now time for the son to prove himself to be the hunter the community needs and that his dad wants him to be. It was a bit of a stretch to believe that the rest of the world would leave the UK to fend for themselves and be forever quarantined with the rage virus, especially knowing there are people living successful lives in spite of the rage virus existing. No help, no aid, no communication between the outside world and the survivors on the island for 28 years. Not entirely believable because of the threat the rage virus poses to the rest of the world, but I guess some contrivance is needed for the movie to get on. The first chunk of the film is truly the best part. The father and son dynamic was very interesting. I really liked how well-intentioned, clearly inexperienced, and vulnerable the son was. It worked well for the story when his father exaggerated the tale of his trial to be a great heroic success when it was actually far from it. It added a lot of depth and dimension to the father character, and then the son's heartbreak when seeing his dad's infidelity all the more endearing. The threat of the zombies was felt early on as well. I liked how animalistic and creepy they were depicted to be with the cinematography and shot selection. The action was good, and you could feel the tension as things kept going wrong. There were interesting ideas introduced with the survivor community and possibly other human groups, the evolution of the zombies, and some borderline supernatural clairvoyant sequences that got me quite invested in the story. It's when the second act kicked off, things got worse. Instead of the father and son survival tale, or a movie about protecting a fairly good, functioning community from otherwise nefarious human groups tacked on with infected running about, we get a jolting shift into a more slowly paced, coming-of-age tale about a son trying to save his sick mother.
Fuck.
I didn't find it all that convincing that a 12-year-old boy, who was born and raised knowing the risks of the infected, has the actual experience and realization of how much more he has to learn about surviving in this world because his rite of passage did not go well, would then take his mom, whose health is clearly compromised, into zombie-infested territory that he's never been to, nor would likely survive because we just saw how inadequate he was without his father to save him. To now go and see a doctor who no longer practices medicine, and at best has a unique relationship with dead bodies.
Son of a bitch! You done messed up, Aaron!
I get it that the movie wanted to make this seem like an act of desperation and defiance for the boy, but I found it pretty ridiculous. And as the boy goes on this journey, the movie gives him and his mom some serious plot armor. There is the threat of the infected, but it's to a significantly diminished degree. A gas station they're in blows up and they're fine. And as funny as my audience found the Swedish soldier bit, it really was a missed opportunity to add some depth to the story. with a character who's lived in the real developed world interacting with one who only knows a life of quarantine. But jokes and a gruesome kill is all that we get. It's also odd that despite a handful of opportunities to kill AlphaDong Mamoa Zombie Man, he's allowed to live. The movie doesn't really explain the alpha zombie enhancement very well, nor does it explain how a pregnant woman either remained pregnant after being infected, or how she got pregnant if she was already infected. The story seems to imply that AlphaDong Mamoa Zombie Man has a special relationship with the pregnant lady. So I guess the kid is his? Spike's mom is seemingly given the ability to calm the zombie lady down in order to help deliver the baby. But once the baby is born, the rage is back on.
Coincidence? I think not!
And then the baby is just fine, not infected at all, because the placenta is magical. This was a lazy throwaway line that only further established my discontent for the movie. It's also in the second and third act that we get nothing more about the father. He's completely sidelined. The movie would have been way better if it showed him either on the hunt to go get his son and wife, or having been subdued, or even imprisoned after trying to break out of the compound to save his family, because the community doesn't allow rescue missions at all. The movie showed us that he's skilled enough to do it in the first act, but forgets about his character for basically the rest of the film. At the end of the movie, we just see him waiting, and when he finds out that his son isn't returning, he breaks out of the compound anyway.
Oh, damn it!
It was also weird to see the anime-esque zombie killing squad at the end of the film. Again, very different in tone, and it was so unserious and odd in contrast with the rest of the film. And that's the gist for my thoughts on 28 Years Later. The movie is really well acted, and the first act is quite good, but it's not enough to overcome what felt like 2 to 3 different movies in the second and third acts. The movie is clearly trying to set up multiple sequels, but I don't really expect that they'll be narratively satisfying. Now I'd like to know what you think of 28 Years Later. Hit me up, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll catch you next time on The Gist.